meditation. The word conjures up so much in our lives of spiritual people. Meditation takes different forms, different formats. For some people, especially the Quakers, known as the Society of Friends, theirs is done in complete silence. Their worship is in silence. They can sit for an hour and not speak, unless they're moved by the Spirit to give a message. To me, that sums up really what meditation is about. It's having that time to spend within yourself, in your inner being, the very soul of your inner mind, your inner consciousness. It's very real. It's a time that we spend with Father, with ourselves, and with the divine light within us. It's a time when we think about the way of faith, the way of belief. Over the last few programmes and broadcasts, I've talked a little bit about spiritualism in quite detail. But this morning I want to really emphasise some of the aspects from other faiths that we can actually incorporate into spiritualism. I'm reminded of the Catholics who use the Rosary as their form of prayer and their focal point to pray. And some people in spiritualist churches who had links with the Catholic Church or Catholic faith in the past may find that they want to throw the Rosary away. That is a great shame, because with the Rosary you have within that prayer cycle meditation and thought. And so maybe you should keep the Rosary and use it for your own private prayers. Now, in the Buddhist tradition, there is the Buddhist wheel, which in a similar way focuses the mind and the spirit on prayer, on prayerful meditation. Then we have the spiritualist way, which differs in so many ways, and where it takes place. Often it can be at the most difficult times, when we're facing conflict, or we're facing death, or we're facing unsurmountable odds in life. And yet we have that time when we can meditate, we can think, we can pray to the Divine Spirit. Very often it can be in different places. Some people can actually meditate going around a supermarket. How, I don't know, but they do it. Some people can meditate and spend time walking around with the dog. Some people can go for long walks. Some people can sit in the quietness of their room. But wherever you do your meditation, the one thing to remember always is that at the centre of your being is the spirit of your soul and your mind and your heart. And so it's important that we recognise what spirit means to us. As I said earlier, some of us are from different traditions. In the Church of England, there's the Common Book of Prayer, a Book of Common Prayer, and it has in there a lot of reflective verses and hymns which can help someone focus on their meditation and their meditational path. On the other hand, you have the nonconformist churches who don't usually have that kind of thing, but have the hymn books. I remember once somebody saying about the Methodist denomination that they didn't have a confession of faith. They don't actually have a article of faith to sign up to, but they actually have what they term as the hymns, which forms part of their credo, part of their creed and belief. But whatever your belief is, whether you're a Muslim or whether you're Methodist, whether you're Church of England or whatever you are, you have at the centre of that heart and mind and soul and spirit within your being the ability to meditate. Some people say they're too busy. Some people think it's too much trouble. But the best time to meditate, for me, is when I'm taking the dog for a walk. And sometimes I will go out and just take the dog for a walk and centre my thoughts on different people with different needs, different problems. Sometimes I walk round and I can hear spirit talking to my spirit. It's important that we have some time with spirit, but also time with ourselves. We spend so much time rushing about and spend very little time in thinking our way through life. And you find at the end of the day you end up with a wondering, when it's all sort of your life changes, where you've been, what you've been doing. And it's important that we recognise in ourselves the ability to spend time with our inner being. As one writer put it, to have peace at the centre, referring to the soul and the spirit. To have peace at the centre of your very being. Sometimes it's hard to do this and understand the reasoning behind it. But we must have peace in our spirit. We must have peace in our hearts. We must have peace with those we deal with, however difficult the road may be. And sometimes we fail. I'm not excluding myself from that, because I've failed on occasions. And I don't say that lightly, but I've actually failed. And the next few years really, for me, will be a time of challenge and opportunities. And I was told many years ago that my latter part of my life will be far more significant than the first part. And when you consider the fact that I'm 65 in January, it makes me wonder what Spirit have in store for me. I'm not in any rush. I'm not in any hurry. I'm just here, and if I hear the call of Spirit, and I know I will, and Spirit will call me forward, I will follow. Now, for some people who are in the spiritual work, they find that difficult to accept. It's all right doing the services. It's all right doing the readings and the healing and all that, but at the centre of it all has to be spiritual determination within your soul to succeed in what you do. Because people rely on us. There's a world crying out for solace, for understanding, for help and for healing. We must not fail them. We must not fail to bring to their lives something of spiritual help and spiritual knowledge and spiritual healing. But above all, we must be people who are prepared to give and not to count the cost. To toil and not to seek for rest. And that's a tall order to ask, isn't it? It's a tall order to fill, isn't it? It's far easier to really tickle away at the edges of spirituality and not actually do anything about it. It's easier just to play the game and to play the action and act spiritually but to not fulfil the calling that's been the basis of your life. Many are called, but few are chosen. And that's an old adage, but it's true. There are so many people who think they can do spiritual work and they join it, they get on with it, and suddenly they fail. How many times in our meditations have we taught people to pray in meditation? How many times have we carried those who are seeking to serve Spirit and then find ourselves with empty chairs because they couldn't be bothered? Or they thought it was too hard. Or they thought there was an easy way. There's no easy way with Spirit. There's no easy way of meditation. There's no easy way of serving the Divine Spirit. It's hard work. And sometimes it's not that rewarding. But it is something that is within the heart and the soul and the mind and the spirits of men and women, no matter where they are. No matter whether they're here in the UK or they're in America or in Australia, New Zealand, wherever they may be, whether they're in Wakefield, whether they're in Bradford, Huddersfield, Dewsbury, anywhere where the Spirit of the Lord, Spirit of God, the Spirit of the Divine Spirit comes through, to shine through, to bring us that inspiration to serve, to meditate, to care, to love. You know, in November we celebrate we don't celebrate it, but we remember those of the fallen in 2 world wars. And one of the things I always remember is the words, "We will remember them." At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Remember those who you served. Remember those who walked away. Remember those who found it too hard. Remember those who wanted to play the game but weren't willing to put in the hard work. And ask Spirit to bring them. Practical tools you want, whether it's a rosary, whether it's the Buddhist wheel, whether it's the Muslim prayer wheel, whatever it is, whether it's a hymn book, and you choose certain hymns that appeal to you and strike a chord. Use a spiritualist hymn book. Use anything. There's a book called the Secular Bible, which I've used on an occasion when we had our brother Geoffrey, who passed the Spirit, who was called the Bradford monk or the Jesus man, and I read a little bit from there. Use whatever method you feel to bring meditation to your heart and to your soul and your spirit. If you've got and feel challenged by the Quaker faith, I've got a little surprise for you. In Idle, in a place called Westfield Lane, there is a Quaker burial ground. It's right really up the road, and they've now built houses all round it, Westfield Lane in Idle. But about halfway up on the right hand side is a little cemetery with a wall round it. And that's where there is the burial ground, but also it's where people meet. It's where people meet to pray. Please use it if you're in that area, no Idle at all, because it's such a wonderful experience, just to spend time